Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Spending time all alone, sending my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas let this last.
That was a great sound to watch with Outside on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, LA made, EZ BlueZ is in the building. EZ BlueZ, you're better with introductions more than me. Who do you have with us today on Behind the Brand?
Ladies and gentlemen, there was an incredible songwriter with these amazing glasses that once wrote, "It's the circle of life, and it brings us under." There are many parts of culture that says you cannot have creation without destruction. So this next person really rolls that yin and yang aspect, from producer to artist to musician to management.
Yeah, absolutely.
To actually running one of the most important moments of someone's life, when they are truly, truly hurting, and the loss of a loved one. This man steps up and facilitates for those final moments, rocking a funeral parlor. And it is so amazing and such a testament of the type of human being he is, to sit with people in their most vulnerable and weakest points and shower them with the love and affection needed. So although I usually have a really big up, everyone, put your hands together, not if you're driving, keeping it 10 and 2, but I actually want you all to put your hearts together. I want you to welcome the amazing Markel Greene. Thank you so much for being here, and it's truly an honor and a privilege.
Honor and privilege to be here, to be on your show. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Now, Markel, what got you into the funeral business?
Honestly, what got me into the funeral business, experiencing a loss at the age of 10 when I lost my dad when I was a child. Though it was tragic, but at the same time it was a blessing, because it drew me to want to be able to get into the funeral business. Just watching it, looking at him in the church, and I said, I was a kid. I said, I want to make people look nice and get into this business. And I didn't know much about it, but I knew it was an attraction. Weird as it sounds, it was an attraction. So I was like, wow, I want to start working at a funeral home. So as a kid, I used to call the funeral home every day that my dad, the funeral home that buried my dad, I would call them every day. And luckily, they were very nice people, and they would talk to me when I would call.
All at 11 years old?
At 10 years old. At 10 years old, I used to call, and I used to just ask questions. I used to say, can I work here at the funeral home? And they thought it was cute, but, and then crazy as it sounds, I ended up working at the funeral home because I'm an organist, and someone deceased, one of my neighbors deceased, and my sister was asked to sing at the funeral. And being that I'm a musician, right, I've always been a good musician. So at the age of 10, it was prior to my dad's passing, I went to the funeral home and I played the organ for my sister, and the people that I used to call every day said, that's Markel. So they put one and two together. So they gave me a job. So they used to come and pick me up from elementary school, and I'll be the organist. I played for funerals. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So it started young.
Wow, so you got that tutelage at a very young age, prior to a lot of morticians and embalmers. And when did you actually start learning the real mechanics of, the whole business? Did it start during the teens? Did it start in your early 20s? Tell me about that.
Well, it started in my teens. I mean, because, just being around the funeral home all the time, it was very nice. I've watched and I learned. I used to watch the funeral directors talk with families, and though I was young, I've always had an old soul. So I was sensitive to the matters of people that would come in. I would see the funeral director talk with families, and I would be nosy and snoop around and listen. And, and then that compassion, I got attracted to that. And it was like, wow, and it was awesome to see, how the funeral directors would help the families. And I said, one day I want to do that. Yeah.
Gotcha. I got you. Easy. I see the light. I see the light bulb shining on your face. Go right ahead.
Well, no, it's extremely interesting, especially having the connection with music the entire time. Has that been something that has just been like that current that flows through your life? Dealing with the creation of music, and then also, dealing with catering to those that are moving on to the next stage.
One thing I can say, regardless to what race you are, to what ethnic group you are, to what religion you are, one thing I could say, music and death always has a relationship, because music brings you in and it ushers you out. There's always a song. I mean, regardless to Catholic, Pentecostal, Baptist, Buddhism, everybody sings, everybody has a song. Music and death has a great relationship. That's one thing I've learned about this in the being in the music industry and both working in the funeral home industry. The two are a marriage. I don't care what religion you are, what ethnic group you are, the two have a great marriage. And it's very interesting. And I love being a part of all of it,
What have you learned?
Now,
no, go ahead, Easy. I'm sorry.
No, now you really are dealing with people at their most vulnerable. Is there any type of particular training you had to go through for like someone who's thinking about getting involved in your field? What kind of advice, training wise, can you have when dealing with someone at their most vulnerable?
Well, for the record, let it to be known, I'm not a licensed funeral director as of yet. I'm currently in school to be a licensed funeral director. I've just always worked in the music industry and church industry. And what happened was, by me being involved working with funeral homes, I was able to create my own job, my own income, because I would make deals with the funeral homes. Because by me being a musician, and fortunately enough, by me being a musician and my brother being a pastor, I have a brother that's a bishop. I have a lot of family connected and roots in church. I was able to put the two together, and I would go to funeral homes and say, hey, if I bring a call in, would I be able to work? And da-da-da-da. So that happened. So a lot has transitioned with me working within the church and funeral homes. I put the two together, and I created work for myself. Right. And, like I said, I'm not licensed as of yet, but I do have hands-on with the deceased. I do casket. There's a process after the mortician does their piece. I do the finalization. I do a lot of casketing, dressing, makeup, and I do like a layout. But as far as the deep technical stuff, I don't do. But I bring the families to the funeral home, and I meet with the families along with the funeral director. I'm the funeral director's basically assistant, and I work for several funeral homes. And like I said, by me having the church background and with my family being into the church, I am able to bring the whole marriage together. So I created like an awesome job for myself. You understand? So it's like I bring it all together, and it's interesting. And then one thing I love about it, as you know, when you lose a loved one, it's very painful, and I'm just honored to be able to help families and line them up with the right funeral director, the right funeral home, and bring some peace to the situation. That's what I do. I do a lot of stuff that even funeral directors can't do. That's why I'm successful in this business, what I'm doing.
Where do you go to school?
Goodwin University. Goodwin
Yeah.
University, East Hartford, along with my daughter. My daughter is currently in school as well. She's going to be a funeral director, and we go together.
Oh, that's nice. That's beautiful. That really is beautiful. So it's extending a tradition.
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely. And you
That's
know,
good.
and then doing this business, you know, I don't speak negative of funeral directors because I love them all, the ones that I work for. But at the same time, it's a moment where, because I've seen it and experienced it, you know, people don't know. And what happens with me working along with people is that, you know, people are vulnerable. And at this time, most times people could be taken advantage of at the same time, you know. And people that I know, I make sure they're not taken advantage of. And I'm grateful that I work with great funeral directors and people. They work with me as we can work with families, so people don't have to use their life savings to put their loved one away. You know, because you know one thing I've learned in this business, regardless if you're black, white, Hispanic, Greek, Polish, Jewish, we all go the same way.
Yeah.
And in this business, it's so interesting because I've been in it for a while, and I've learned over the years, traditions change. You know, with baby boomers and interracial marriages. One thing I've learned over the years, if you were Italian, you went to an Italian funeral home. You went to where grandma used to go. But with the younger generation, not to take away from the older generation, the morticians and funeral directors weren't your friends. They wanted your money.
Right.
It was like, you know what I mean? We're not going to spend, you know, you go to a certain funeral home. Oh, grandma went there, grandpa went there. You know, these morticians weren't your friends. They wanted your wallet. They wanted your pocketbook. You know, we did, grandma, we did. Yeah, but you went broke during the process for one day.
Yeah.
But, you know, I always encourage people, and I work with all ethnic groups, and unfortunately, you still have people who just think the way they just think straight, you know, this way, this way, this way. But I love the fact that I can take people who are white, who are black, who are Hispanic, and say, hey, I know you've been spending this amount of money on $16,000 years ago on funerals. Hey, man, I might be able to do that for $8. You know what I mean? And they're like, wow, really?
Right.
You know, and I like to help people out in their most difficult time.
That's crazy to think about that, because of a lot of times, you know, unfortunately with a lot of these times, a lot of people would lose a lot of money when it comes to just even one funeral.
Yes, they do.
And it's insane, because you can easily, how you broke it down just to myself and Easy, you can easily manipulate somebody and thinking they have to do this for this certain occasion when they necessarily do not. So I'm happy that you're putting this honesty out there, just when it comes to your clients and just different people. And when you say just like it changes now, I bet times changed. I mean, the Italians went to the Italians, the blacks went to the black funeral. Now you're seeing different ethnies and different ethnicities and different cultures just every single day. And it just probably expands your mind, just how the world works. Am I right?
Right. Yes, it does. And you know, it's fortunate and unfortunate, because some people just don't understand, you know, and some people don't realize you're being taken advantage of. Sometimes people can be taken advantage of, you know. It's unfortunate. That's one thing I won't stand for. I don't care who I'm working with, what group I'm working with. That's why I'm successful at what I do. I'm not here to bombard the industry to make people not make money. However, I'm here to help, you know, because, you know, it's unfortunate when I've been in situations where people came to me and said, you know, my loved one has passed away, but the funeral director said, you know, this is the price, this is it, there's nothing we can do, this is basically about it, go think about it, let us know. And, you know, then they just left them hanging. You know, they don't offer them the cheaper way out sometimes, you know what I mean? The less expensive way out. I'm not saying that, you know, it's cheap as far as like your services and your, you know, and what we offer. No, I just like to see people be in a comfortable spot, in a comfortable space,
Yeah.
so because after you bury your loved one, you still have to live,
Yeah, seriously.
and everybody has
Mhm.
good insurance. Some people don't have great insurance, so that's another issue as well. But one thing about it now, like I said, with the interracial marriages, which is beautiful, I love to see. I work with a lot of people. What happens is, you know, the younger generation is like, you know what, we still have to live tomorrow. The older generation was like, we have to do this today. We want to do this. We want to do this. But
Mhm.
then, grandma and grandpa was broke. They may not have told you, but they just spent
Mhm.
17 grand in the ground. And
Mhm.
I can't please everybody. I'm not trying to please everybody, but
The best thing to
it's
do
just
is be fair
it's
to
just
people.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And even and fortunately and unfortunately, I became financially more successful during COVID because when people died, I was a consultant that linked the middle link between the funeral homes and so forth, so on.
Right.
Think about it. People during COVID, the funeral homes didn't change their price. Then they're going to tell you only 7 people could come, 10 people could come, but you're still buying
Mhm.
goods at $17,000. You know, to me,
Mhm.
that messed my heart up a little bit. I'm like, wow, that's kind of, people can't even
Mhm.
come to their loved one's funeral, but yet the funeral homes are still charging top price. No one went down. In fact, prices went up because you know what? It was a need. It's just like
Mhm.
gas. No matter if gas was $20 a gallon, guess what? You're gonna get it because you
Speaking of
need it.
needs, I need to do this. We're on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ Blues is in the building. We got Markel Greene with us on Behind the Brand. Markel, I hope I didn't lose your train of thought. Go right ahead.
Okay. Yes. And that's where we're at. You know. But at the end of the day, I love working in the funeral industry. It's beautiful. Um, and I just like to make people. I like to make people, happy. I want to see people, you know, ease the pain at the end of the day.
Mhm.
And the one thing I've learned about death and working in the funeral industry, though you're in such a traumatic state, if you work with the right people, they can still bring a smile upon your face and bring some ease to the burden
Mhm.
that you're
Mhm.
currently going through.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
Speaking of ease to the burden, for someone, because death comes unexpectedly, for
Yeah.
someone going into this for the first time, just learning prices and trying to find the right person to talk to, what do you recommend? What do you agree for that person that time of need?
Well, I always recommend people to talk to me. I work for 9 different industry funeral homes. I work with nine reputable great funeral homes, and I represent them. I always tell people, that at the time of death, one thing at the time of death, it's like time isn't on your side because you don't want to leave your loved one just laying anywhere too long. So you have to talk to someone, and I line up people, different funeral homes with the perfect, situation. That's where I come in, and I see things funeral directors don't see sometimes. That's why my job is so intricate because, for instance, when people die, at the time of when they deceased, families are going through so much. They don't want, a funeral director covers a lot. And I work with great funeral directors. All of them are awesome. All of them are awesome. And, they cater to all ethnic groups. I must say, I cover things funeral directors don't cover. One, I'm a musician, a professional musician, and I'm a great planner. So when the funeral director makes an arrangement with the family, I oversee things, okay, such as you. It may not seem as intricate. Okay, do you have a musician? Do you have a singer? Would you like a band at the cemetery? Would you like a band at the funeral home, at the church? I cover the majority. I cover the majority of that, and what I do is I make sure families are happy. I oversee that the funeral director and the family I bring the connection together, and I bring ideas to the family, to the funeral home, that their loved one is laid to rest peacefully, respectfully, and everyone is happy. I make sure everyone, at the end of the day, it, to say everyone is happy, some people might say, oh, it's sad, but happiness could come in sorrow as well.
Mm-hmm.
Easy, you want to say something?
Well, no, I think it's super interesting, and I love that you're kind of standing in the gap. Because a lot of times, it's atrocious that we do have, a business style, and I'm not pouring salt on anyone that's doing whatever, but in some of our most vulnerable, when someone passes, we actually aren't even really sign a contract because we're not in the proper mental state of mind. And to know that you're out there and helping people in the middle of that and being their peace of mind is a beautiful thing. And I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you. And I appreciate it. I have a neighbor who just passed recently, and they're white, and they came to me because they said, we really want to bury my mom. And, and I don't bad talk any funeral home. I love every funeral home, and I respect every funeral director. However, they didn't have a lot of money. Mom's policy was only but for so much because mom was sick. And, I don't care what ethnic group you are. Bottom line, if you're sick, insurance is only going to cover but so much. Okay, so you're in a certain situation. And unfortunately, some funeral homes and funeral directors, they don't care. One thing I've learned, I have a heart for the people. I hate to see, because I've been there and done it. And I think when you haven't experienced it, you don't know. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, for instance, for instance, when you don't know the, if you haven't lost a loved one, I've learned because I've experienced it. It's easy for someone to say, oh, I know what you're going through. I'm sad. No, you don't. And until you experience it for yourself, you don't know. So what helps me out in my business is I've experienced it. I've gone through it many of times, multiple times, even recently losing a brother, losing a sister, and these are you losing the siblings, So my whole point in bringing all of this up is to say, sometimes people, they don't know literally what you go through. They don't know what you go through. Right. And they'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I know what you're going. No, you don't. Until you experience it, you don't know. You could only imagine. Right. So with me, with my experience, I'm able to really help people because I've been there and I've done it. Even with some siblings having insurance, some not having insurance, so it's a roller coaster ride. However, getting back to the topic and point, sometimes when people die, the funeral director gives you a price. This is it. This is what we're working with. This is what you got to do. In my business, I've learned how to dissect that bill and say, okay, you could save here, you could save here, you could save here, you could save here. That's why funeral directors, the ones I work with, they love me. The ones I don't work with, they hate me because I save money. And it's just the bottom line. At the end of the day, I want to see you happy. And I want to be able to say, you know what? My daughter's in college or my son is in college. Thank you. I saved the thousands of dollars because of you. I get so many emails and cards and even gifts from so many families because at the end of the day, they say, wow, you saved me 10 grand. You saved me 5 grand. You saved me so much money. And, and that's a grateful feeling to know that you helped someone at the end of the day.
No, it's so true because I still remember, with when my mom passed, just how quickly it all kind of adds up, and we're, sitting there at the table and you can't really think straight. Your whole world is spinning. Everyone, you're on the phone calling every single relative up and down. You're exhausted, plus you're grieving.
Right.
And it just becomes like this whole mountain that gets piled upon you, and then you sit in front of papers and photos and like You know, and you know, the funeral directors is like, do you think she'll look good in this? And you're like, no, I think she'd look good if she was still here and we like and was dealing with this. I don't think that any of this is going to look good. I don't want to be here. And it's great to hear that you're really stepping in there and bringing more that human fact, the human kindness factor back in. So.
Right. You know, so you experienced it, so you already know. And then at the time, you know, so many emotions going on. You got people calling you. You have family. You have relatives. You have people attending. I mean, there's so much going on at the time of death that sometimes, you know, then when you sit down with a funeral director, all you're seeing is numbers in front of you, numbers, you know?
Yep.
And sometimes people are like, how the hell am I going to be able to come up with this money? And, you know, it's not like you planned this for like 6 months from now. You know, you need this within the next week or two. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I have to put my love on the rest like within the next week. Where am I going to get 15 grand or 14 grand? And then, you know, if your insurance is only $5 grand, you know what I mean? You're like, yeah, I need another $10,000. You know, so it's about when someone passes away, there's a lot with the, you know, but I make people's job a lot easier. I come between the funeral home and with the funeral director, and I work with some, like I said, I work with awesome funeral directors, and that's why I decided, you know, just go ahead and finish school, be a funeral director. This way you can do it yourself as well, you know. And I'm still going to work along with the other funeral directors, most definitely.
Right. Well, and that's, I think, one of the key points of your story that I really do truly love and respect. You created a job that wasn't there before because you have such a love and a compassion and a passion for the industry.
Yes.
You created your own niche. And to be honest with you, you know, looking at every other type of event planning industry, you know, they have that. They have it for a wedding planner. You're kind of like the planner. And
yeah, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's the, and feel free to take it. It's not copywritten. You'll be fine. But, you know, but you know, but that's what I want our listener to really understand. I want our listener to know that just because that job doesn't exist right now doesn't mean you can't make that job happen.
Right.
How were you able to manage the ebb and flow of that? Because I'm sure when, you know, you started out, people were like, I don't really know if this is going to work. How did you manage that negativity, especially in an industry that is very heavy in spirit?
Well, how I made it work was because I'm a go-getter. And God rest his soul, even I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, which I am. And it's like you have to step out on faith and just do it. You know, you can't be scared. You have to do it. And it's like, just imagine you have like 10 pieces of gum. God rest his soul, James, he used to work at the funeral. Good, great guy. He told me just a few months ago before he passed, he's been passed now less than a year. He told me, I love what you do. Keep doing what you do. And he gave me this example. He said, if you chew up 10 pieces of gum and you keep throwing them at the wall, he said, make every piece of gum your idea. He said, eventually one of those pieces of gum is going to stick to the wall and it'll work for you. He said, never give up. Keep throwing your ideas at the wall. Keep throwing them and it's going to work. And thank God, you know, everything is starting to work, you know, and you can't, it will work eventually. You just got to keep at it. And you got to keep at it, and you got to, and again, I credit my brother and sister, Executive Pastor Trina Greene and Pastor Esau Greene. They helped me too. And when in my family and my brother Bishop Anthony Greene, what happens is when people die, sometimes people, when at the time of death, they consult with their priest, their pastor, or whatever. And then they immediately say, well, what we're going to do is introduce you to our brother, which is me.
Right.
And that has been a significant help as well. So, you know, that helps me that helped me make my own job in the funeral industry.
Right.
And, you know, and like I said, a lot of people hate me. A lot of people love me. More love me so than hate me, because what happens is they said, especially during the time during the pandemic, I'm also, I was out physically which working with funeral directors doing removal from homes and hospitals and
Mm.
houses. We lost many people. And what happened
Mm-hmm.
is my nephew and I, Anthony Greene, the Bishop Anthony Greene's son, which is my nephew, Tyler, he and I will work for different funeral homes. I mean, we made tons of money, and,
Mm-hmm.
we had a lot of funeral directors, they get their salary. But with this pandemic, I came in and I went and worked with all the funeral homes. I was putting in
Right.
15, 16 hours a day. And then I was
Mm-hmm.
like, at the end of the day and at the end of the week, we said, oh my gosh, look how much money oh my, I won't go into details, but it was significant. It was crazy, but we were
Right.
busy. And where you had funeral directors, they worked for one funeral home or whatever, they're on salary. I mean, put it like this, we're
Mm-hmm.
making 5 times their salary and more, and 10 times their
Right.
salary within a week's
Mm-hmm.
time, because we were out hustling for different funeral homes and doing what we had to do. But we were doing the work of, work of God and work of the Lord, because we were helping families.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just a job. It was more of I don't even consider my job to be a job. I consider it to be sort of
Right.
like also a ministry. I help people. It's just not like I'm here for this and that and that. I'm also here. I had a lady call me several months ago, and it was very weird. I thought she was racist, or I was like, wow, this lady's very mean. She looked at me so mean when I went to remove her loved one. She asked me all these questions, and I'm in a suburb, all white town, but she kept my number, and she called me.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's why I never judge a book by its cover. She says, I'm sorry it took so long for me to get in touch with you. I wanted to reach you a long time ago. And this is several months later. She says, I just want to thank you for such a beautiful job, how you were and how you talked to me and my family when you came. And that meant a lot to me. I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So with this, it's also a ministry. So my job is also a ministry. And I meet some great people. I meet great people. Yeah.
No, I love that, and I love that you understand that it is a ministry and kind of a calling as well, because that kind of answered my next question, but I want to dig into it as well. It is also a very emotionally driven industry. You're dealing with people at their rawest moments. How do you keep your battery recharged? How do you process from scene to scene? And especially those 15-hour days, you're going and removing, loved ones from households, not just once. You're doing this a couple of times a day, and you're watching and you're sitting in so much sadness. How do you combat that sadness? And how do you not let that take over?
Well, like I said, one, like when people, like my daughter who's in the business as well, this is a God-given, I think when you're any way that you are in this industry, I do feel that it's a ministry and it's a godsend. You have to have a purpose. The funeral business is not someone you just say, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. You know what I mean? It's a calling. It's a calling, true calling. It ain't. So it takes a special person to be able to do what I do, to see the things that I see, to hear the things that I hear, to smell the things that I smell, to walk upon families and, the industry that I'm in. It's a calling that your average person would never be able to do, and I won't, some people say, Markel, you're a conspiracy theorist. Your mind is crazy. You're always da da da. No, I just think outside of the box a lot. Because even with the schooling, you could get financial aid. Gosh, I hope I didn't get murdered for this, God. But listen, you could go to school, you could get financial aid, you can start your classes, you have your prerequisite classes, so forth, so on. But yet, people say they see the beauty of the funeral business, but they don't see the behind the scenes. And you're
Right.
in Connecticut, you have to take so many classes before you even are introduced to a funeral home. And it's like you keep away so much before this person is even introduced into it. And it's not fair. And to get back to the question, the reason I'm not a sadness, I feel it's a spiritual competition. I want to bring happiness to that person that died. I want to bring some kind of residual happiness. I want to make them feel good. I mean, even if I could play the piano or the organ for them through music, whatever. The reason it's like I don't have a disconnect. You feel for the family, but you know what the challenge is going to be. You understand? So it's like I don't let it overtake me. I see what does bother me. I mean, I do like to see the fact when people are over 70 and 80, when they, that's a good life. You lived a good life. What bothers me is young people that, that's in children. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
That's sadness all the way. Babies, children, sadness all the way. However, I'm able to cope with it through my spirituality and through my spirituality and my challenge is to this person is very at their strongest point in mourning. What could I do to make them feel better? And it's through conversation and music.
Great conversation on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ BlueZ is in the building. We got Markel Greene with us on Behind the Brand. Markel,
yes, sir.
Are you passionate with music the same way you are for the funeral industry?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm passionate about music. I've been a music producer for very many years, recorded with professional artists and local artists, and still doing the same. About to open up another recording studio in the great city of New Haven on Blake Street. I'm passionate about my music as well as the funeral industry and everything. They both work in hand to hand.
How's that?
How they work hand in hand? Because everyone, it's your birth date and your death date all have a song. It's like when every time you have a birthday, it's happy birthday to you. You know what I mean? Regardless if it's the same song. And then when you leave here, regardless you're doing a Catholic mass or a Pentecostal service, guess what? It's all surrounded by music and song. They work hand in hand together. So music and death are very, very close in relationship. Yep.
How much patience you have to be a music producer? Did you hear me? I think it's always a little.
I couldn't hear.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe it's a little connection. I'm very sorry about that. But you talk about patience and everything throughout the whole broadcast when it comes to the funeral industry. But how much patience does it take to become a music producer? Because you're trying to create that right sound for that certain musician.
Man, you know what? I don't boast or brag, but I just got it. I was born into the music. And by me being born into music and everything, it comes so natural. I mean, my patience, I could produce and write a song in 20 minutes and done and record it. You know what I mean? If you give me an hour, I could record a song, write a song, and darn near mix it and close to have it mastered within an hour. I mean, I'm very great at what I do. I'm very great at what I do, and I thank God for that talent. I've been playing since I was 6 years old. I started playing keyboard and organ, and creating music, and I've been around great people to be able to do that. So I mean, the patience to me, sometimes I would spend a lot of time working on music, and then sometimes I don't have to spend a lot of time working on it. So I just thank God for being an entrepreneur and being able to do what I love doing, And I think that's what makes me great at what I do, because I know how to do it very well. What I don't know, I don't know. What I know, I know. You know, I'm a great carpenter. I'm a great musician. I'm a great producer,
Awesome.
and I'm a great person
Right.
in the funeral industry. You know.
Awesome.
So you've been blessed all these years. You were in the
Yes.
music industry way before, you know, the whole social media blowout. How competitive that was back in the day, because you work with some names like Brandy and SWV and just numerous other talents. Like, how competitive was it even to get the artists with you inside that studio? Because a lot of stuff had to be done face to face now, unlike today.
Mhm. Well, back then, even back then, the concept was the same. It was just that, you know, the social media was I mean, it was different. You know, whereas like I'm working with artists throughout the country, and you will see, I have artists. I already have 13 artists lined up throughout the country. As soon as my new studio is open, they're coming, flying from California, Arizona. I have an artist coming from Ghana. 90% of 90 point, I'll say 95% of my artists they reached out to me through social media from a friend, and they want to fly to little old New Haven for Markel to produce them in my studio
Right.
because they want a change of atmosphere and so forth, so on. When I worked with SWV, Brandy, Monica, it wasn't all my gig. I was working under a producer, all-star, Alan Gordon, I was working for his entertainment company, but I was doing all his music for him. Assistant, I was the beat maker behind the scene. And you know, what happened with that situation was it was a great experience because I have my passion for music. I didn't care that I was working. Well, I cared, but I just love music so much. I wasn't in it for the money. I was in it I felt good just making music. You know, I've been taken advantage of a lot, but you know but when you're young, you're dumb. But I didn't care because my passion for it. And I remember one time what happened was I had to sit down with my mother. She says, "You doing music for all these people? Where's your money? They paying you?" I said, "No, not really." And then it went to we won't get into all that, but I ended up having to get a lawyer, whatever. And
Oh,
that's
wow.
that's what really got me over the top producing music, you know. But
Right.
because mommy stepped in, but I was being torn apart, I was doing music for a lot of people. I have hit records. I co-produced a lot of hit songs for SWV, Brandy, Monica, Color Me Bad. The list goes on and on. I did a lot of stuff for this particular producer, but you know, I was young and dumb, but I did a lot of music. And if you Google SWV and so forth, so on, you can see a lot of work that I've done under. I eventually started getting my credits that you could see work, you know, the great work I worked on, the projects. But I love music. I have a strong passion for music. I'm a great songwriter, and I produce all types of music, anything from rock to pop, R&B, hip hop, Afro beats, everything I can do, and I do it very good. I'm great at it. I'm great at it. I'm the best around.
So,
I'm great at it.
So let's leave a great little Easter egg type of thing. For the listener at home, what song did you work on that would, I guess, surprise them the most? Because obviously with working with these artists, you're kind of a household name without being a household name. So what song that you've done or that you've worked on would be the one that's like, oh, really? He did that? Damn.
Oh, okay. You're the one for me. SWV. Boom, 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 boom. That one. And then they have another song called Love Is So Amazing on the album. I did that. Brandy remix. I did I did a remix with Brandy. I Want to Be Down. When I was
Really?
down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yep. I did Want to Be Down remix, and Monica before You Walk Out of My Life. I did a remix for that as well. And then Color Me Bad. They did a song called Time and Chance. I did that song for them remix.
Really?
And, yes, and then jazz artist Ronnie Jordan. I did a remix for them. I did a lot of remixes with while I was working under this producer.
Nice.
Yep. And the list goes on. Yeah, I did a lot of music.
Unfortunately, we're getting to the end of the broadcast. Sorry, Markel, didn't mean to cut you off. But
Not
we
a problem.
always like to give this last time to our guest. First, it's a two-parter. first, just give any perspective advice for any future entrepreneurs out there who are just scared just to take that first step. And lastly, just give your social media and anything you got coming up just to our audience. Go right ahead. Time is yours.
Okay. First of all, I say anybody who wants to do anything, first of all, you have to have faith in your creator, regardless of what religion you are. Put your faith and your trust in God to do it. And put him first. And don't be scared. Just do it. Just do it. You know, like Nike, just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And what I tell people, don't look at the dollar amount. Money will come. One thing about money, you could lose it, you could get it back.
Mhm.
One thing you can't get back is health and loved ones. You know, but you could carry good memories of people that you've known who went before us. However, what you have to do, just stay focused and stay away from negative people. The moment someone starts talking negative, walk away. You got to have a strong desire to do what you got to do. And sometimes that comes with losing friends, family members, whatever. You have to do what you got to do for yourself. You know, you want to surround yourself with positive people and never give up. Never give up, you know? And what my next big thing is, I have a lot of artists coming from throughout the country coming to my new Blake Street studios. My social media, of course, I'm hitroom_studios on Instagram, and then you'll hear more of my production company. And I want to thank you guys for having me up here today. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it, and I hope God blesses your program, that you get millions and millions and millions of followers. And I promise, as I blow up, I'm going to link you, and I'm going to put you guys with many artists that I know who have millions of followers that I'm working with. I'm working with a lot of YouTube. I mean, when I say working with some YouTube sensations, they're coming here to my studio, thank God. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to link you to it as well, because I believe one hand washes the other, and we're all in it together, just trying to get ahead. Most
Really
definitely.
Yeah.
That's right.
Who wants to be the boat when we can be the tide that rises all boats, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right. You know, and you know, people need people. You know, friends need friends. You know, we're not in it by ourselves. We're all just trying to make it. You know, so one hand washes the other. And I really want to thank you guys for having me on your show today. This means a lot. I don't care. It could have been. I don't care if it was TMZ or any other one. This is just as more important to me than anything else. And remember, small beginnings become very large at some point.
Man, I feel humbled.
This must be what the guest feels like when they come off our show.
Yeah.
I don't know what the feeling's like.
Yep, I was honored to be here.
Markel, thank you so much for being part of the program. Myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ Blues is in the building, and this is Behind the Brand on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, New Haven.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peace, everyone. Blessings.
You too, man. Thank you so much.
All right.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Spending time all alone, sending my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas let this last.
I don't know if the earth is painted